getting into the Genesis Invitational, preview, top plays, core plays, and first look build. Let's go. All right, the 2023 Genesis Invitational, which is going to be an elevated event, and it's going to be an event that has Tiger Woods back. Everyone's going to be excited for that. Also, we have Full Swing, the Netflix documentary, releasing as well. So it's going to be a fun few days in golf, in the golf world. So getting into the Genesis Invitational kind of course preview. Now, remember, this used to be called the Genesis Open. It's had a few different names. So typically speaking, this is going to be a harder scoring track. So it's no shock that something like birdie to bogey ratio is really popping up, especially in terms of like players that are going to top 10. You want to be focusing on that. Now, typically speaking, golfers that are making birdies are going to be the ones playing well, but I'm going to be looking at birdie to bogey ratio because really avoiding bogeys is going to be key. And if you look at the key characteristics of golfers that won, they are going to be hitting greens, but we are seeing that the stroke gain stat that we want to be focusing in on the most between stroke gain putting, stroke gain around the green, stroke gain off the tee is going to be stroke gain approach. And we see that with players that miss the cut as well. That's going to be the key stat that we're looking at. We do see that because it is a par 71, that par 4 scoring is going to be a key stat as well. Total driving, ball striking, not like entirely huge, but if we go like year by year, let's see if that changes. And so as we can see, like, yes, each year there's going to be different kind of key stats that pop up depending on who wins. And that's why we're going to look at the general key stats. So with that, let's go ahead and look at which golfers are going to be the top stat fits. So looking at Rory's coming in as the top stat fit in the field with an average stat fit of 9.3, which is really good. Looking at like Adam Hadwin after that, Terrell Hatton, Sungjae, Justin Thomas, Jon Rahm, Patrick Cantlay, Tony Finau. Got a small sample size coming in here. Scotty, Tommy Fleetwood, Corey Connors. So we can see a pretty strong field there just right out the bat. Then just looking at the players with the best course history here. Cameron Young coming in with the second place finish last year. If we look at 2 starts, we see Victor Hovland popping up there. We look at Adam Scott, tremendous course history, 4 straight made cuts with a victory in there and 3 top 10 finishes. Jon Rahm, kind of the same thing. Wyndham Clark been playing some good golf. He's at an interesting price tag this week, I would say. Max Homa, spectacular finishes as well. Xander Schauffele, going to be someone that's going to be tough to avoid. Guys, this week is going to be very similar to last week in terms of who I am on for the most part. Scotty Scheffler, good starts. Patrick Cantlay, good starts. He's coming in off of a missed cut right on the number. We'll see about that. Just got off to a slow start. And I will say last week, it did seem like there was a slight weather advantage in terms of like when the delays occurred. And so maybe we just kind of write that off for Patrick Cantlay. Colin Morikawa, the chalk fade last week for 9-5 worked out. Tony Finau, always a GPP play. I mean, we are seeing, guys, we have a ton of golfers that are coming in with great course history. Rory would be ranking out better if he didn't have that missed cut 2 years ago, but still 3 top 10 finishes. Spectacular there. KH Lee, 4 straight made cuts. Russell Henley, 4 straight made cuts. Lanto, 3. JB Holmes, 3. We can just see tremendous starts from a lot of these golfers. I mean, it goes deep this week. It's a great field. It's going to be difficult to kind of really dial in on which top end players we should be on. So we'll go ahead and get into recent form. Golfers coming in with the best recent form really should be no shock for these players here. Jon Rahm has been on a tear. Rory's been on a tear. Even last week where after round 1, and this was annoying, he said that, this course really just isn't that good for my shot shape. It's like, all right, Rory, you could have told us that confidence level that you had before round 1. That'd have been great. I mean, wasn't on it too much. I was on Rahm, Scotty a little bit more, Xander more, Homa more, but still, it's like, come on. Let's get that information. But after that, we got Xander, Scotty, Homa, Seamus Power, Tony Finau, Victor Hovland. I mean, we can see this field goes deep. Thomas Dietrich is going to be another interesting play this week, guys. The last few weeks, he's been really cheap, and his price is actually going down, even though the starts continue to be solid starts, especially given his price point. So top 10 in recent form rate, we can get him at 7.1. Same thing with Joel Damon. Top 12, we can get him at 7K. Adam Hadwin. Top 15 in recent form rank. Tommy Fleetwood. I mean, guys, it is kind of loaded with quality golfers that have been playing some quality golf for quite some time. I will say Adam Scott is going to be an interesting player as well. I think I'll be on him this week. And then just looking at the specialist. So as you guys know, the specialist is going to be pulling in all the unique data for that week's tournament and too much of that as well. So we're pulling in bunkers, course designer, fairway width, green speeds, green width, all that kind of random stuff, par, location, scoring. And so we can kind of just see which players are going to be the top specialists based off of that data. So I'm just going to sort it by specialist. And so we can see Jon Rahm popping up there, Xander, Scotty, Rory, Cantlay, Homa, Finau, Sungjae, and Chesson Hadley casually popping up there as well. So this is going to be a an interesting tool for this tournament. And I would say I probably will default to this a little bit more this week, just in 50-50s, just because it is such a tight field, especially on the top end. So, if we're stuck between two players, I might just use this tool to decide that. So let's go ahead and get into the high tier price point range. All right, guys. So just looking at it, we can see just a loaded field here. Okay. So like Jon Rahm is going to be the class of the field, coming in as the number one play in the 9-5 model. Once again, I mean, he just continues to dominate. Third place finish last week, and you could tell round 3 just didn't have his stuff fully together. It's just a good reminder that it is difficult to win on the PGA Tour, but even in tournaments in which he doesn't have his A game, I guess, if you will, 3rd and 7th place finishes. I mean, he has been a top 10 machine. It's really just difficult to afford, or it's difficult not to play Jon Rahm this season. It just is. And he's not really being priced up enough given his production. So, it is a great spot. And like, he is someone that really just could be 12K. And then I would think about, all right, do we need to play him? But as it sits right now, it's still a simple, I think, plug and play that we're going with this approach, because he really just is very consistent as a fantasy producer. And given the course history, 21st, 5th, 17th, 9th, like nothing suggests that he should struggle. Key stat wise, he ranks out really well in all the key stats. Nothing alarming there. Top specialist, 97% chance to make the cut. So we are getting a few golfers with over a 90% chance to make the cut, but 97 is crazy. Like, we just continue to roster him. From there, you could, it's tough, guys. Like, we're going to have pieces of all these guys. It's going to be trying to figure out like which players not to be on, really. You could usually be on Scotty. I wouldn't blame you. 7th, 20th, 30th place finishes at this tournament. Really strong play across the board, obviously coming in off of that victory. 8 straight made cuts in a row now. His worst finish recently was 11th place finish at the American Express. So really just turning out some good results. Now, I will say I'll just take the security with Jon Rahm a little bit more, but if you want to be on Scotty Scheffler, that's not the wrong decision, okay? From there, some people might be worried about playing Rory this week, and actually, let's just pull up the ownership real quick. Never mind. He's coming in at 21% projected own. Interesting there. Okay, so interesting. And that's kind of the beauty of doing this video on Tuesday, is that we can look at ownership. I thought he might be a little bit under-owned this week, just given the fact that he had a bad start last week. And I think everyone else is seeing that bad start is most likely just due to him not being that familiar with the tournament. Coming into this tournament, he went 10th, miscut, 5th, 4th. Okay, he's the top staff in the field, 4th best specialist in the field, coming in the 2nd best recent form in the field. Really just a strong play. And I think it does kind of, the fact that he was able to make the cut is something that's definitely encouraging. And guys, like I said, like, these plays on this top end are all great, and it's all very difficult not to be on them. And I think we should be on all of them. I think it'd be a mistake not to be on some of them. Now, yes, we're going to prioritize some players over the others, but it's definitely a situation in which I think we need to be on all of them. So JT had been someone that, had been lacking the upside, and then we saw the upside there at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, killing my winnings for prize picks on Saturday and Sunday. It was very painful. I had a bunch of lines that had 5 out of 6, and had JT not dominated, it would have been very profitable. Still, the 2x payouts, nice on prize picks, so it wasn't terrible. I'm bittersweet about that. Okay. JT has good starts here, though. 6th, miscut, 2nd. I mean, pretty good stuff there. Obviously, those miscuts we don't love, but given the fact that he has, 2 top 10 finishes other than that, that's fine. And that's kind of been what he's been doing recently. I would say he does feel like the one that's the most overpriced here. I mean, he's coming in 6th in the 9-5 model, which suggests that he's slightly too high, but nothing too crazy. Let's look at Xander. And guys, I need to touch on all these plays because they are the top end plays. Okay. It is what it is. I want to be more direct, but this is what we have this week. These are the top plays. And so like Xander, and people might not want to play Xander this week, because he doesn't have like the best upside finishes recently. Looking at this tournament, he's finished 13th, 15th, 23rd, and 15th, which is kind of what his recent form has been, 10th, 13th, 3rd. He withdrew from the Century Tournament Champions 4th. He has had some really good results. 16 straight made cuts in a row. Okay. 2nd best specialist in the field, 8th best in course history rank, 18th best at fit. So that's kind of the worry there. And 3rd best in recent form rank. Overall, 4th best player in the 9-5 model. And he's going to be tied with Tony Finau here. Okay, Tony Finau, great course history. Obviously should have won against Max Homa, and that just brings up some haunting memories of Sam Burns choking away the victory that year. Yeah, Tony Finau really choked away the victory here 2 years ago, but has good course history, 33rd, 2nd, 51st, 15th, so 4 straight made cuts. Key stat-wise, ranks out top 5 or better in 3 out of the 4 key stats I'm looking at. Recent form, the upside, I guess, given his price tag, maybe a little bit more, I guess. We're trying to find reasons not to play these guys. I mean, 14th, 9th, 16th, 7th, 7th, we would certainly take those finishes. We'd certainly take locking in a top 20 finish every single week. Just this week, we might need more. He's the 4th best play in the 9 to 5 mile. I'll certainly be on him in GPPs. I don't know if we can play him in cash. And then Max Homa, again, I think we're going to go back to the well with him. Sure, he had a terrible weekend last week. A lot of the commentary was kind of just saying, Max might have a little bit more pressure than he's used to because a lot of the people that he's friends with are here at this tournament and whatnot. I'm like, that's a curious take. And maybe that was true. At this tournament, guys, he has great results, though. 10th, 1st, 5th, 37th. Okay? He had a bad start after his victory. Still was able to make the cut. I think we can be more confident in playing Max Homa. I think he does make a lot of sense in cash as well. Coming in with a 90% chance to make the cut. So does Tony Finau as well, just as an FYI. So, he does kind of make for a solid starting point. Now, last week I kind of mentioned Collin Morikawa was random chalk. Like anytime we get kind of random chalk like Collin Morikawa where there's elite plays at the same price tag and they're not getting as much ownership, like just be on those players. And last week it was just strange. Okay. I'm curious, and I'm pulling up the ownership right now. I was curious as to see if his ownership would be lower than it is right now. And no, he's coming in at 14% projected owned. So with that, probably can't be on him. I was going to say, we could easily go with him if he was 8% projected owned. Obviously, this is very early on in the week, so this can change. But I was just kind of curious about that. So, there's no real need to play him. 2nd place finish at this tournament last year. I mean, pretty good stat fit. I don't know. It just feels like you'd be forcing him into a build if you wanted to play him. I think Patrick Cantlay and Victor Hovland are going to be kind of 2 solid plays. And I wouldn't be shocked if they are kind of chalky. Now, Patrick Cantlay kind of had been trending in kind of the wrong direction for a little bit there. Missed the cut on the number. Just couldn't get it going is pretty much the best way to sum it up. He has 4 straight make cuts out of this tournament, 33rd, 15th, 17th, 15th. So good stuff there. Overall could be a better staff fit, but nothing too alarming. He's solid overall and he's just a solid player overall. I don't know if I'll play him in cash, just given the fact that he's coming in off of a miscut, but if you end up on him, as the last player into your build, I'm fine with it. Just given the price tag, it's a solid price tag. And so Victor Hovland, I do think, will be a strong cash play. And I can't believe he's 8.9. That is pretty awesome that we can get Victor Hovland at this price tag. Victor Hovland is someone that really struggled at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. So it's no surprise that he did struggle. 42nd place finish. I'm encouraged by the fact that he made the cut last week. That's encouraging to me. He comes into this tournament where he's finished 4th and 5th over the last 2 years. That is encouraging to me. He's a top 15 staff fit, top 9 specialist, top 8 in recent form, 12th best pick in the 9 to 5 model. If we are making a cash build, I think he makes a lot of sense there. 85% chance to make the cut. He should be a very solid price point play. I see no real reason not to be on Victor Hovland this week. It's going to be very difficult, given this price tag, not to play him. He's the last of the truly elite plays that we can be on. And so going lower, another kind of random chalk play last week was Cameron Young. It was just strange. Once again, just given the players around his price tag, there's no reason he should have been that much higher owned than some of the other players. And that's very much going to be the same situation this week. If someone is kind of random chalk, that's the exact same play as others around them, just be on the other plays. It's going to be as simple as that. But looking at Cameron Young, fine play, I think, this week, GPP wise. You're not trying to go out of your way to hammer him as a play, but we have seen him not be as good. I feel like he is a little bit too high priced. And this price point range is kind of the same as it was last week, where you don't really need to go out of your way to play anyone in this price point range. Willie Z could have a good finish. Jordan Spieth has made 4 straight cuts at this tournament. I'd probably want to be on him the most here. But other than Victor Hovland, it kind of feels like a price point range in which we could just skip over again. I don't mind Jason Day. He's been someone that's been definitely trending in the right direction for quite some time. Now he's had, look at those starts. 16th miscut, which, still under par, still a good result, I would say. Just one, bad round at the RSM Classic. 18th, 7th, 5th. And so if we get a top 20 finish at this price tag, we'd be happy with that, more than happy with that. Now, if we continue on, that's where the plays get better. The plays get better as we go lower on in this price point tier. So Hideki it is a very solid play at this price tag. 8.2, it's a very cheap price tag. So we could maybe even build the cash lineup from Hideki, the next two players, just give them their price tags. Like you could get 4 solid plays and have a really strong fair and balanced build. Looking at Hideki, course history-wise, 39th, miscut, 5th, and 9th. Okay, recent form could be better, I guess, if you will, but he is such a consistent player, I think we can project a make cut. He has an 80% chance to make the cut as well. Top 25 play in the 9 to 5 model. Like nothing too elite, but nothing too alarmingly bad. Really the only bad stat that we have coming in is that miscut 2 years ago. So Hideki is going to be a strong, safe play. We look at someone like Terrell Hatton, who's one of the top leverage plays last week. And this goes back to why were people forcing in Young and even Morikawa when you can get some strong leverage plays like Finau, Homa, Hatton, where they're just not being properly valued. It was a strange week in that sense. But Hatton, we could definitely be on again, GPP-wise. Sure, he missed the cut at this tournament 4 years ago. That's the most alarming data point that we have coming in. He ranks out top 10 in 4 of the key stats I'm looking at this week. Overall, top 5 stat fit. Could be a little bit better specialist-wise, ranking out 30th in the field. 9th best recent form in the field, though. We can see those starts have been really spectacular and across the world as well. I expect him to have a good finish and continue the good form that he's been in. So you could potentially play him in a cash build. Like going lower, I'm perfectly fine with Justin Rose. Justin Rose has been, playing some solid golf. Now, not the best stat fit and actually ranks out 43rd in the 9 to 5 model. And you always worry about a player coming in off of a victory, especially like that, where I don't want to say it was fluky, but fluky. He benefited from the win. Not a bad play. Like 8K is a cheap price tag for him. Then looking at Adam Scott, I'm sure Adam Scott's going to be extreme chalk. And no, what the heck is going on with his ownership early? Interesting. This is very interesting ownership wise. Maybe it's because of me. Maybe it's because I'm coming out with my video later on in the day. I would have swore he would have been, and where is he at? And I don't want to make this ownership video, but man, I would have thought he'd be the chalkiest player. I would have. All right. Good potential leverage spot, and only coming in like 20th right now. Personally, I would say I probably want to be on him more. Let's look at Adam Scott. First of all, I love his putter. Literally the design of his putter. And honestly, I do. I like the center aligned putter. It's good for him too. It works. So looking at Adam Scott, course history-wise, 4th, 38th, 1st, 7th. 3 top 10 finishes and a made cut, which was a 38th place finish. So when he didn't have his A game at this tournament, he was still able to make the cut. I would take a made cut at AK, okay? Key stat-wise, pretty solid across the board. Ranks out top 10 in the 9 to 5 mile because he's a 14th best specialist, 4th best in course history rank, 2nd best stat fit as a whole, 21st in recent form rank. Recent form has been solid. We would take those starts. 10 straight made cuts in a row. Like, I feel like if we are hoping for like a top 10 finish, we're probably hoping for too much, but should be a solid made cut at such a cheap price tag. So I'm perfectly fine rostering Adam Scott this week as well. All right, so now we get down into this low tier price point tier. And so for me, once again, I don't want to make this ownership video, but I would assume Wyndham Clark's going to be pretty chalky. I'm kind of enjoying doing this on Tuesday just for this reason. Wyndham Clark is coming in at 11% projected owned, which, is about right, I would say. He's someone you could definitely, I think, spike up ownership-wise a little bit more than that. I mean, look at these starts, guys. 16th, 10th, made cut, 10th place finish. And so I like to see that with a player because not every tournament is going to be a great tournament for golfers. And I just like to see them making the cut. 7 straight make cuts in a row now. 4th best course history in the field with the 8th and 17th place finish. Now, he didn't have a start here last year, but still 2 top 20 finishes at this tournament. I like to see that. Not the best stat fit. That's going to be the biggest worry. 79th in the field stat fit wise. But recent form wise, top 20 in the field, specialist wise, 35th in the field. Overall ranks out 33rd in the 9 to 5 mile. It's a pretty good tag for him, but there's no need to play him because we could easily play Keegan Bradley, who's going to be a solid price point play. The issue with him is he's made 3 out of 4 cuts here, but his best finish here over the last 4 years was 48th. Still a strong staff in good recent form. You could definitely play him if you want to. We have Seamus Power, Seamus Power is looking like a pretty good play as well. Recent form has been pretty solid. We can just see a bunch of top 25 finishes. Actually, he's coming in top 10 in recent form rank, remember. That's because we're drawing in a lot of these starts as well with that, but still a solid play. The issue with him, 1 made cut, which was a 64th place finish, and a miscut. So not good there, and that's why these guys are priced down here. Same thing with Corey Connors. Corey Connors, 3 straight missed cuts at this tournament. Great stat fit. Only ranks out 36 in the 9 to 5 mile because of that alarmingly bad course history. Like if we continue on, Adam Hadwin, a very solid play this week as well. Top 25 play in the 9 to 5 mile. 3 made cuts and 1 miscut most recently. At this price tag, I think he makes for a fine cash play as well. We could definitely end up on him. Brian Harmon, 3 straight make cuts at this tournament. Pretty solid recent form as a whole. Missed the cut at the American Express while shooting -8. I'm fine with that. Okay. If he does that this tournament, plays solid golf in a tournament that's going to have less variance like that. Obviously, the higher scoring, the more variance that's entered in. So he should be someone that makes a cut. Ranks out as a top 15 play in the 9 to 5 model. If it wasn't for this miscut, I'd probably be on more than I'm going to be. Although at this price tag, it's probably going to be tough not to play Brian Harmon. Alex Noren had a very painful bogey on 18 to miss the cut. On the number. That was frustrating. That was very frustrating there. Besides that, I've been playing some good golf. And obviously, I mentioned this a bunch last week. The biggest worry with Alex Noren was the fact that we just hadn't seen him a lot recently. Okay, one start over the past like 3 months, and it was a miscut on the number. I will take that. And so he is someone that's made 3 straight cuts here, 48th, 12th, 59th place finishes. Overall rank style is the top 30 play in the 95 mile. At this price tag, that's a very strong price point. Now, I don't think someone like JT Poston was the wrong play last week. I do think that he just got the poor end of like the weather delay. He was +2 heading into the par 5, and then he bogeyed the par 5 the next day. And obviously that's when there was a lot of windy conditions, and then he made 3 more bogeys to close out that round. I think if he closes that round out on Thursday, he is definitely having a better finish than that. I'd be fine going back to the well with him. He's not a must play this week, but probably be on him in about 5% of builds. Bo Hosler is definitely someone that's catching my attention. Just been turning out some really good starts recently. Has 2 made cuts at this tournament, 48th and 15th place finish. Tommy Fleetwood I'm fine with. But we can see there's just a lot of solid plays on the top end of this pricing tier, and then a lot of okay plays lower on. I do want to mention Thomas Dietrich because, once again, this is just a strange price tag for a guy that's, coming in such strong form, okay? Making a ton of cuts, producing some good results. Top 12 specialist. Like, at this price tag, I'm not saying he's a lock or anything like that, but it just wouldn't be shocking to see him make the cut, right? Just given the form that he's been in. I'll be on him a decent amount. And then that being said, we got Joel Damon, who has a top 10 finish at this tournament. He has been playing much better golf this season. The California swing hasn't been the most favorable to him. And his course history here as a whole isn't great. Made cut last year, 74th place finish though, and then 2 missed cuts and then a top 10 finish. So very interesting stuff there. And Patrick Rodgers is going to be a very similar play at the exact same price tag. And honestly, if we're playing a GPP play, Patrick Rodgers makes a lot of sense here because when he's made the cut, he's been finishing top 30 for one. At this price tag, we would take that, but also finishing top 20 consistently as well. And if we look at his starts at this tournament, what are they? Miscut, 12th, 30th, and 15th. He actually ranks out top 25 in the 95 mile. He is going to be one of the better GPP plays that we are getting. Not a cash play, although if you're forced to end up on him like last player to your build, I guess I would get it. So now dipping down into the value tier, there are so many great value plays here, guys. Let's get into it. Okay, so deep breath here. Let's get into it. So Adrian here, a very strong upside play. Now, we don't know exactly what we're going to get out of him coming over from the DP Tour. Typically speaking, with these guys specifically, where they have a lot of starts on the DP Tour and don't have that much experience with the travel and getting acclimated to, I guess, like the U.S. in general, I typically worry about them. But given the price tag where he's, probably underpriced, I think we can roll with it. Like, looking at his recent form, 4th, miscut, 10th, 7th, and then 1st in there as well. Like, it's going to be tough not to like him as a play. He does come in as a top 40 play in the 95 mile as well. Not the best made cut percent, but still pretty solid. Jonathan Vegas has been having some pretty good results lately. That miscut -8, we're fine with that. And then a 25th and a 23rd place finish, 55th place finish at this tournament last year, then 2 missed cuts for course history. If you end up on him, I'm fine with it. I think he makes for a fine GPP play. I think James Hahn is going to be someone a lot of people are going to end up on, just given his course history. 61st, 15th, 13th, and the fact that he's coming in off of a made cut. I'm not saying that's correct. I would say he's probably a little bit too high priced. He ranks out as someone that's going to be right around a made cut. So, if we're searching for a value play, I think we could do much worse than him. I would say probably my favorite value play this week, and which sounds weird, it's going to be Sam Ryder. Obviously coming in off of that tournament in which he almost won. If we look at his starts in which he has miscuts, they're not bad miscuts. Like, they're under par miscuts, which is a sign of a player playing good golf, solid, consistent golf as well. We look at his course history, 26th, miscut, and 56. So 2 out of 3 made cuts here, which for 6.7, I would take those odds. And just given the fact that he's been playing some solid golf, at this price tag, it's tough not to like him. Only ranks up 52nd in the 95 mile, but once we get down this low, that's what's going to happen, especially in a field like this. I guess Dylan Fratelli, Lanto Griffin, those are 2 players we could end up on as well. I'd be fine with it. 8 out of 13 made cuts. We're fine with that at that price tag. Same thing with Lanto Griffin. He's actually made 3 straight cuts in a row, both at this tournament and on the PGA Tour. I'd be fine with that. Adam Shanks now made 3 straight cuts on the PGA Tour. And then just I don't know. Tyler Duncan is not going to make the cut, but I found it shocking that he was 6K. That's interesting to me. Missed on the number last week, and it's just not someone we're playing. It's not worth mentioning, but I found that interesting. If you look at the players around him, he's a much better play than them. He should be like 6.4. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into my core plays for this week. Obviously, Jon Rahm is going to be a core play. There's just no way around it. Just a spectacular play. Sure, the course history isn't as strong as it has been the last few weeks, but he is someone that is just going. All right, so getting to the core plays for this week, we're going to start out with Jon Rahm. Jon Rahm is really just a class of the field once again. Course history and ranks out top 10 of the field. Specialist-wise, top specialist in the field. Recent form-wise, best recent form. Top 6 stat fit. Number 1 play in the 9-5 model. He is still not priced up enough. He should be a higher price point play. Let's continue to roster him until he gets into that 12K price point range. And we're going to have a decent amount of core plays today in this video because I think Xander Schauffele is definitely someone we should be rostering as well. Just coming in, checking all the boxes. You know, I like to play golfers that are coming in with great recent form, great course history, great stat fit, great specialists. He's checking all the boxes. Like, there's no reason to not play Xander. Maybe price point would be the reason, but coming in with a lot of great finishes, he's just a consistent player as well. Sure, we worry about the upside, and some people might be worried about that as well. I'm perfectly happy locking in a top 15 place finish. And Max Homa is going to be a core play as well. 3 straight top 10 finishes at this tournament. We can see the recent form has been very solid. And, you know, I kind of mentioned off of his victories, they hadn't been like the best starts, but at least he was making the cut. So that was encouraging. Now I think we're fine with it. Coming off of a victory in a tournament in which he's excelled at, like, I kind of expect him to have a really strong finish this week. Probably, I don't want to say probably, but like a top 15 place finish, I think we can be. I don't want to say locking in. I never like to use the lock word, but I'm kind of expecting that. And so to me, just kind of given his price tag, I feel like Victor Hovland should be a core play, and this is mostly just due to his price point. 8.9 is a cheap price point. He's like the last of the truly elite plays that we're getting, and we're getting him at under 9K. Obviously, that's because the field is loaded, but we can see course history-wise, 2 straight top 5 finishes. Recent form-wise, obviously the 42nd place finish isn't encouraging, but before that, 13th, 18th, 23rd, 10th, 21st, 5th, 34th, 5th, like, had been having good starts. We can see as a whole, if you look at his past 15 starts, past 10 starts, past 5 starts, just consistent as well. Top 9 specialist, top 12 play in the 9-5 model, nothing alarming. With him, he should be a solid play this week. And then looking at Adam Scott as well, I just like him because he should be a made cut. And at the 8K price point, I'd be fine taking a made cut. Course history is obviously spectacular. 4 finishes, a top 7 or better in the last 4 years, as well as a 38th place finish. Pretty solid stat fit. He's out 2nd best in the field, 4th best course history. Recent form could be a little bit better. You know, we're kind of lacking those upside finishes, especially recently. So that's why I'm saying he's more of a made cut only type play, but top 10 play in the 9-5 model, really strong price point play this week. And then I typically do not like to make a player core play that's coming in off of a miscut, whether it be for course history or for recent form. So it's just more of a price point play, and I would say Wyndham Clark would fall under this as well, although it's like when you start to trust Wyndham Clark is when he burns you, so we hesitate there. But yeah, Adam Hadwin, and I just realized Adam Scott, Adam Hadwin, probably going to end up in my builds. But looking at miscut, 26th, 26th, and 75th. So 3 out of 4 made cuts. Key stat-wise could be better there. Course history rank could be better. Recent form-wise, we'll take that, though. Top 15 in the field. We can see those really solid finishes in their 10th, 44th, 18th, 7th, 32nd, 49th, 10th. Like, consistently speaking, Adam Hadwin is typically a cut maker, so I'm perfectly fine ending up on him at such a soft price tag. And so, guys, just kind of looking at some like first look builds, using like those players I really want to be on. We can see we could end up on Patrick Rogers, we could end up on Joel Damon. Like, I'm fine with that. That works out. Okay, that's one path you could do. Obviously, we want to be on Adam Scott if we can, if possible. So this is another lineup we can do. You know, just a very strong week in terms of lineup construction. And then, like I said, this is kind of how I ended up on him. It's don't play him. Okay. But I was trying to find a lineup in which I could fit in all these players. And then I was like, Tyler Duncan, 6K. What's going on there? And if you look at the players around him, that's what I mean. Like Holmes, Smotherman, Hickok, Streb, Watney, McGreevy. It's just strange there. Okay. He should be like up here in this price point range. Okay, then it'd be fine. I'm not saying play him, but I'm saying this is the way I could make this lineup work. And so let's try to do a little bit more fair and balanced here. And so here's another kind of lineup path. Like, it is crazy how easy it is to make a good GPP build. Okay, I feel like it's going to be a little bit more difficult to make a strong cash. All right, everyone, that is it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do. Give it a like and subscribe. If you guys want to become a 9to5 member and get access to all the tools that you saw, you know, access to stuff like the ownership leverage report, which is huge. Showdown, I mean, I try to make it the best value out there. I think it is $10 a month. If you want to, check it out. If not, give a like and subscribe. That helps me. Let's have a good slate. Let's have a good week. And as always, let's keep cashing.